Samantha from Jessima Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you a fun cane that uses skinner blends made from polymer clay. Now, what you're going to need is black and white polymer clay, and I'm using Primo today. And then you're also going to want a yellow, in this case it's a sunshine yellow, orange, alizarin crimson, purple and navy blue. All Primo, and they will all run out on the middle set of my pasta machine, or about 1mm thick. Now, with the black and the white, I want you to stack those and just trim them up so that they are kind of trimmed down into a rectangle. And those are going to get run out on the middle setting again. Okay, and just check the other side. There we go. Right, and that's going to get run out on the middle setting again to bring it down to about 1mm thick. Now just pop that to the side. And also for the colours, what you want to do is you want to create a skinner blend with these. Now for today's tutorial you can use any colours you want, however many colours you want in the skinner blend, or less colours than what I am using. I'm going to be using this little skinner blend cutter to just help me get the triangles cut out quicker. It's one of my skinner blend cutters from my Etsy store, Jessima Design. There'll be a link in the description below. But basically you just want to make a multicoloured skinner blend with any colours you want. Okay, and once you've cut out all your pieces, just pick those up and alternate them like so. And I'm going with colours today that remind me of kind of a sunset, but pick any colours you would like. And again, you don't have to be working with this many colours. You can also use less, or you can use more if you wanted to, so don't feel restricted. Okay, and there we go, nice and simple. Then I am just going to pick that up so that I can clean off any residue left on the tile before I move to the next step, because I don't want contamination. Okay, I'll take that. Right, and then to create a skinner blend, all you're going to do is just press these colours together so that they at least stick to one another and don't fall apart when you move to fold them. There we go. Then take that and you're going to fold it in half like so, and if you have a pasta machine you can run it through the machine, or you can use a roller to flatten it out like so. And then you're going to fold it again the same way, and you're just going to continue rolling and folding until the colours start to blend together and create a nice even transition between one another. Okay, and there we go, that's how that should look. Then you're going to take that and you're going to fold it one last time. And what we're going to do now is I want to stretch this out further than what it is. So you need to just fold it over and get it all evened out. You don't want areas where you've only got one layer, so fold that over so that it's all the same thickness. And just stretch it out and mold it to a narrow rectangle. Then you're going to roll that out from either the yellow or the blue end, stretching this out. And I also have rolled this out so that it is now 1mm thick. And there we go, that's how that should look. Then I am going to go from the yellow end up to the blue end, and the reason I'm doing this is because the yellow is the lightest colour, therefore the brightest, and I want the centre point of light to be in the middle of my cane rather than on the outside. This is not a rule, that's just why I prefer to roll it from lightest colour to darkest colour, but feel free to do the opposite if you wish. Okay, there we go. Then you're going to bring this along and you're going to just position that like so, and trim. Okay, and I am going to trim up this end just to make sure that it's nice and clean, like so. And then I am going to roll this. I'm just actually going to make sure it's the correct width. There we go. Then you're going to roll that up the piece like so until you reach the other end. Give it a little roll to mark where you need to cut, and then just cut it at a slight angle and roll it up, and that angle's going to help it lay down nice and smooth so that you have less of a seam. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut it in half down the middle. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to take it from a semicircle to more of a half oval, like so. And repeat with the other one as well. Just take that and form it more into a half oval just by squishing those sides down, and then pop those together, and I'm going to form that into a square, and I'm going to reduce it down so that I can multiply the number that I have here. And you can use your roller to do that. Just grab your roller and start rolling on either side to reduce this down. Okay, and that shouldn't take too long. Okay, and there we go. Then just trim off the very ends and put those to the side. Those are good scraps, but I'm not going to use them in today's project. Then I'm going to cut this in half and place that on top. Cut in half again and place that together. Very nice simple cane, but the result is quite a nice result, if I do say so myself. And again, you can see how you could create any Skinner blend and create a really nice effect. But there we go, that should just about do. I don't think I'm going to add any more pieces. I think I'm going to leave it just about the way it is. The only thing I want to do is just give it a roll on either side just to make sure that everything is stuck together. Okay, and then I'll pop that to the side and just let that rest for a bit. And I'm going to bring over that black and white that we had from before still. And I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to roll this up on itself like so to create a spiral. Okay, I'm going to reduce that down as well, and I'm going to use that as part of the project as well. That's optional, but I want it to be the center point of the pendants that I'm going to make. Okay, and that doesn't need to be reduced down too much either. Alright, and then I would advise letting these canes sit and rest for about 15 minutes, just because at this point they'll probably be quite warm from you using them, and so when you slice them a lot of the time they will end up distorting. So resting them allows the clay to firm up a little. If you want to speed up that process, you can always pop it into the freezer. Yeah, and there you can see how that looks. Okay, and I've let both of the canes rest for a bit. Now you want to bring over either a, in this case I'm going to be using a mold, and this is the one that I am using. If you choose to use a cutter instead, then you need to take the cane slices and assemble them into a slab that you can then cut out. But in the case of the mold, I'm actually going to be cutting the slices specifically so that they will move with the shape of the mold. So I'm going to need one regular rectangle shape here, and I'm just going to place this down roughly so that I can see what I need when I need it, and that should work for that. Then I am going to take this and I'm going to just gently taper it. I'm not even going to carry that shape throughout the whole piece, just this one end. I'm just going to trim off that leftover. Okay, and that will take care of that one over there. Then you take these pieces and you stick them together like so, and then make sure that everything is pressed together. You can squish it down. I'm working on a ceramic tile and that certainly does help. And then just start by gently curling it so that it's going to fit to that rounded shape. Okay, and it does not need to be perfect, just roughly in the correct shape. Okay, and then just work that into the mold like so. Okay, and you can see there from the back how it's going to look. And you could just take the cane slices and just place them in normally, but I think shaping it so that it actually moves with the shape of the mold adds more interest and movement to the piece, so that's why I'm doing that. So for this one I need 2 of the curved pieces. Take that, squish it down so that the pieces are together like so. And I'm going to make sure that the black outline is always facing towards the outside with the yellow facing towards the inside. So that way I have a steady, continuous pattern. And that way when we assemble the piece, the effect will be that the light is going to be coming from the middle of the piece. Okay. And then just place that down, and if it's a little too large you can always just kind of squish it up on itself. That's why this cane is quite nice to work with, because it doesn't require precision. It's going to make quite a nice shape regardless, and it's okay if these things overlap, just don't allow it to move into the middle. And you can always check how it's going to look from the back. And there is a little bit of an empty spot here, so I'm going to take this little leftover piece and I'm going to lay that over to extend that. There we go. And then this one will be again another rectangle and then another tapered piece. Okay, and then once that's done, then grab the jelly roll from earlier and you're going to cut pieces off from there, and I predict that I'm probably going to need about 4, so I'll start off with that. And I'm going to take that and I'm also going to just assemble those into roughly a teardrop shape. Okay, and then squish them together so that again the seams between the pieces should be somewhat smoothed out before putting it in the mold, because a lot of the time little air bubbles can get trapped when you press lots of small things into a mold together. So to ensure that it's as smooth as possible, just give them a squish beforehand. Then place that inside the mold. And there's a little blank spot over there, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of this black and just patch that up. And there's another little black spot there, so patch that up as well. And there we go. And then you can see from the front how that is going to look. Once you've got everything assembled into their correct spots, that's where you can then go and take leftover pieces. Like for instance the end of a cane, you can take that, roll that out into a tube and use that to start filling in the mold. And I would recommend using, for instance we have the kind of flame effect around the outside. I would try to use matching colours to fill that in, and then use things like jelly roll end pieces to fill in the middle, because sometimes there are gaps and so you don't want colours in the incorrect spots. But in this case there isn't too much, so I think I can use some more of the jelly roll scraps. I just have some plain black and white pieces from here as well. But yes, you're then going to go and fill this in, and try not to add too much clay at once, because if possible it's always better to not have to shave the clay off the surface. It's better to just fill it up to the perfect level. So just go slow and steady when you're filling this in. Okay. And then once you've got it to a point where you think you have enough clay, then go in with your roller and give everything a roll to flatten everything out and to press the clay even further into the mold. And there will be some overhang. That is normal, like there is a little bit over there. If that's the case, you can take your blade and just nick that off. That shouldn't be too much. It's when you have a huge amount of clay and you have to then just do a general sweep. That's what I like to avoid. And you can see here whether there are air bubbles. There is one little air bubble at the top here. I would recommend just lifting the mold slightly and then laying it back down again, pressing out that air bubble. There's another one at the bottom here. Lift up and press down. And other than that, I think everything is pretty much good to go. So then you can just lift it out of the mold as it is, or you can just grab a texture stamp and give this a texture while it is in the mold. That way the back can have a little bit of a finish to it as well. And I'm just using this little stripe stamp, and that should work. And then I'm going to rotate that. There we go. And that way it has a nice little checkered pattern, and that finishes off the back decently. Then you're just going to lift that out of the mold. If the clay feels too sticky, feel free to pop the mold into the freezer to firm everything up. And it should pop right on out. And that is the result. And you might want to just run a finger around and smooth those sides if they need it. But everything should be good. And depending on the mold that you use, this should require very little sanding later on. You can see how shiny it is even straight out of the mold. I also have done another one here with my other little knot mold. And these are both of the pendants that I'm going to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these into the oven on a piece of paper for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature. And that should bake them up. Then I'll give them a minor sand when they come out of the oven, just to clean up any edges or spots that might be on it. Give them a varnish and they'll be good to go. Okay, and here is how they look out of the oven. And this is before doing anything like sanding. This is just straight out of the oven. And at this point I want you to look them over, see if there are any areas where it looks a little muddy, and if that's the case then give it a little sand. But these look pretty good as they are. I don't think I need to worry about sanding them. So in that case I'm just going to grab a brush and some gloss varnish. And I'm using Varathane water-based gloss varnish. It's a polyurethane varnish. And I'm just going to use that to take these from a satin finish to a high gloss. And they are going to receive 2 coats of varnish. The first coat gives them a shiny finish but doesn't really hide any imperfections, generally speaking. And a second coat just goes over and makes it just quite nice and shiny. If you've seen some of my previous tutorials, you'll see that the second coat just really helps everything along. But yeah, the only thing to bear in mind if you're using this shape specifically, or any shape that is kind of like a knot or has grooves in it, is just to be careful not to allow the varnish to pool into the cracks once you've finished. It's okay while you're brushing everything over. But then once you're happy that everything is covered, like now, rinse your brush off. I'm just scraping that. Okay, and then go in and just grab that extra varnish, dry your brush off a little, and just make sure that it's not pulling heavily in the crevices, because what will happen there is you'll end up with a cloudy finish and just not the best finish. So just make sure you go and dry that up. Alright, and then you're going to do the same with the other pendant. Then you let this dry for about 15 minutes, apply the next coat, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, and there we go. And I did only end up giving them one coat of varnish. They looked perfectly fine after the first coat, so I didn't think that they needed anything more beyond that. But yeah, now I'm ready to string them. And I'm only going to be stringing the one, that being this teardrop. And for that you're going to need a pin drill. And I'm just going to use the nice thin drill tip. I'm going to drill right at the top of this piece and drill the whole way down, like so. Okay, and that should be through any moment now. There we go. Okay, and then just go back through the back to make sure that that hole is nice and clean. There we go. Okay. Okay, and it took a little bit of fiddling, so I skipped the next step where I opened a jump ring and slipped it through the hole that we'd made. It took a little bit because I tried to get the jump ring as small as possible, but basically the process is the same as what I'm going to do for the bail here. Is you will open the jump ring like so, and then imagine this is the bead. You're going to just slip that through and then close, and that would be how you would pop it on here. Then you're going to take that and you're going to pop that onto this jump ring and you're going to close. And I'm using gunmetal because I think that it matches, but feel free to use any metal colour that you like. Okay. Then I'm going to be using a ready-made rubber cord. I get these from Farm Mountain Gems and Beads. They just come exactly like this where they're ready to go. So if you're interested in those, that is where I get them from. And I'm just going to pop that through the bail. And this is the clasp, so you can just pop that through. And there we go. That's finished and done. And this one I'm going to save for another time. I might add it to some kamihimo cord or something else other than this. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I wanted to show you how to create this really cool cane and then how to assemble it into something that looks quite nice. But yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you have questions or suggestions for future videos, leave them there as well and I will look them over. And if you liked the video, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing, as I do videos like this pretty much every single day. And if you'd like to support the channel so I can continue creating videos just like this one, please do consider becoming a member. There is a join button just below the video, or there is a link to my Patreon in the description below. Both are one and the same and are greatly appreciated. And again, I do hope that you enjoyed. I certainly did enjoy this one. It turned out even better than I thought it would. Remember, you can use any colours that you want, so feel free to swap them out if you wish. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.